let's talk a little bit about like what makes container debugging difficult. A few things are like the container itself, if if you like exec into it or something like that and try to run a program or whatever, the container itself could be missing some shared libraries or something like that that's needed for debugging tools. So this is especially true if you're running in like a scratch container that only has the binary that you want to run, or something more like stripped down, like Alpine or something like that, that doesn't have libc or whatever. You may run into this sometimes, like when you're using Delve, because there's certain modes in which Delve could be compiled as a non-static binary. It does have like some Sego dependencies and things like that. So things like this can make it kind of difficult to debug within a container, basically not having everything you need within the container to be able to even start up your debugging tools. We kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but another potential problem is the container having like restrictive system capabilities. So this could prevent debugging tools from running. So if the process tree within the container doesn't contain like that capsys ptrace capability that we went over earlier, the debugger won't be able to do what it needs to do. It won't be able to use the ptrace syscall. So it won't be able to attach to a program. It won't be able to manipulate it or do anything that makes a debugger worth using. Another issue is source code might not be present within the container, preventing source level debugging. So again, if you have like a scratch container, or say like you have your build container, and then that's like a stage one, you copy over your built binary into a scratch container or a container running Alpine or whatever, and you no longer have the original source code. That's a huge difficulty when it comes to actual source level debugging, right? You want to be able to see where you are in your code from like a source level point of view. You want to see, oh, I'm on this line in this file. You want to see the source code. You want to be able to step through it. None of that is really possible if you don't have access to the source code. And finally, the container might not be running locally. So this presents some challenges of like, how do you get the tools to wherever the container is actually running? Do you have access to it? All of these kinds of things. How do you set up the environment, the remote environment, to be able to debug and get insight into what's happening in the container? So all of these different things kind of come together to make debugging in a container potentially difficult. So the rest of the presentation will kind of go over how do we solve a lot of these problems.